Okay, we're going to be going over the M60e6 kit and how to assemble it. This kit is the latest and greatest. It's manufactured by U.S. Ordnance, and you can order them from them. You just have to call their main line. Now, this kit is important. Pay attention because this is a little more difficult to install than our other kits. If you're mechanically inclined, you should have no problems installing this yourself on your gun. But do keep in mind that you can send your gun out to U.S. Ordnance or Desert Ordnance, and they will install it for you and make sure your gun is in spec. They do a good job at it, and that's one of the services they provide. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over each and individual component of this kit to identify what they are and what makes a complete E6 kit. We'll start with our barrel. This is a M60e6 commando barrel. We can tell it's E6 as opposed to E4 or E3 because of our gas system. This is a new design. It's shorter, it's smaller. We also have our curved carry handle. This is the same design as the E4. We have our E6 Sling Swivel, same as the E4. We have an E6 Handguard. I really like this handguard. It's made out of billet aluminum, Picatinny rails on the sides as well as on the bottom. The whole rail system is billet aluminum, and then we have this nice ergonomic plastic guards on the side, which fit very comfortably in the hand. We have a nice heat shield inside here. E6 buttstock, different than the other designs we've seen throughout the years. We have this swoop in the bottom, again ergonomic, comfortable for shooting. Real nice butt plate on there, different from any of the ones that we've seen on the other kits. You got these ridges, very nice heavy-duty buttstock. We have an E6 bipod. This is different than the E4. We can tell these feet are smaller. This is a bit different up at the top. We have some holes here to reduce weight. Other than that, it's about the same as the E4. Really nice design. Strong, sturdy bipod. We have our E6 pistol grip. Again, this is different than any other kit. We have these finger grooves. Again, very ergonomic. I was skeptical about this at first, but it does fit very nicely in the hand. It is quite comfortable. This particular one, we have a push button safety. Previous designs, it was a butterfly safety. And I think that some of these E6 kits do come with a butterfly safety instead of this. Mounting pin is different up front here, totally different mounting system. We'll go over that during assembly. E6 feed tray. We can see our chrome belt pawl. This bridge here, this piece is cut out. A little bit of weight savings. Nice. What I see as a nice improvement. E6 drive rod. Again, this is the same as the E4. Thicker than a standard E6 drive rod spring. Single strand. Same design as the E4 and E3. E6 top cover. Quite arguably the heart and soul of this kit. I really like this design. It's a lot thinner in the back than our E4. Utilizes the same thing, a nice stainless steel feed cam, feed pawl, nice Picatinny rail on the top. Very nice upgrade. Of course, it comes with a bolt, an op rod, and it also comes with a charging handle. I don't have the E6 charging handle on my gun right now. I just have an E4 one, so we won't get into that. But that's it. That is what this kit consists of. And now we are going to go over how to assemble it. One thing I did forget to mention is our E6 hanger. And I really like this design. This angled cut here from our E4 makes it easier for left-handed shooters. And it's just a really nice design. And that is the complete E6 kit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move these parts out of the way here, and we're going to go over how to assemble this. Alright, what we're going to start with here is going to be our trigger group. And first of all, before we get into that, we'll go over how to install this hanger since it's already on the gun for the purposes of this video. Your hanger is going to come with these nuts and screws. Now, depending on what type of gun you have, it may not have these 4 holes drilled out. Rock Island Armory guns don't. So I put this on with 2 screws, and it's perfectly fine like that. It doesn't move. I opted not to drill this out just because it would, you know, it would be a permanent modification of this old transferable gun, and I don't want to do that. Now, if we look through the back of this, you can see in the channel here, you can see those screw heads. They're Allen head screws, and what you do is you take your bolt and your op rod and everything out of your gun, and you use a long Allen head, and you put these through, and simply put your feet hanger on, and then you hold these nuts on with a wrench and tighten them down through the channel. And that's how to install your hanger. Now, what we're going to get into next here is our trigger group. While we have this stripped, adjust the camera. So, like anything, we have this notch and cut out in the bottom of our channel, the notch where the back of the trigger group sits, and then we have this cutout. That's where our sear sits in there to operate the gun. Now, this is tricky, this trigger group. We can see we have our mounting pin here, and then we have a little like alligator type clip, and this is what is going to hold our trigger assembly on, as well as this retaining pin that goes on the other side. Now, to get this started, what we're going to do is we're going to take our pin, and we can see this hole. This hole is going to be on the right side of the gun. So with that being said, we're going to take our pin and we're going to start it through here. And we can see there's a notch here, and that's for this, I want to call it an alligator clip. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get this started by pushing that in. See? And it's holding the pin in place. So, now that that is in there, we're going to take it, adjustment. First, we'll put our trigger group in the back by sitting in that notch. And then what we're going to do is we're going to line up the front. This is a precise fit. So just like our other kits, we got to make sure this is lined up perfectly. And once you're satisfied with that, take our pin and push it through. Alright, now that our pin is through, you can see on this side there's a small hole there. And that's where this mounts. So take this clip and we're going to put it through this hole. And it's tight. Pressure, there it is. Alright, now that's mounted. And it's a nice system, I like it. Again, a bit complicated, but you don't have that latch sitting there on the side. It utilizes a different sear pin. So our trigger group is on. Now what we're going to move to is the front end. Let's back the camera out a bit. So we have our handguard, we have our bipod, we have our sling swivel. Now, depending on what type of gun you have, this fit is tight. What I found that I had to do, I had to make some modifications to this handguard. If we look in the bottom of it, I had to smooth this out and Dremel it and sand it where it sits on the trunnion. These lugs, you can see all the finish is gone. I had to remove a decent amount of material from that. And I don't view that as necessarily being a problem because, remember, U.S. Ordnance is making these to fit with their trunnions. And our trunnions are very old. So, you know, it's understandable that it's going to be off some. But if this handguard, when you get your kit, isn't going on, just bear in mind it may have to have some material removed in the rear of your handguard where it sits on the trunnion. And it can take some time. I used a Dremel tool, sandpaper, and after a little bit of time I got a nice precise fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our bipod and make sure our legs are pointing in the correct direction, and we're going to line our bipod up on our handguard. We'll extend these legs down. Sorry. We'll extend these legs down first just to make it a little easier. And we'll sit our bipod in the handguard. Then we'll take our sling swivel and we'll put our sling swivel in. Now, this is a very, very tight fit in there. It's not like the previous kits we've seen where this just slides in. Now you want the curve facing to the rear. This is a slight angle, this sling swivel, so facing to the rear. And we make sure everything is lined up nice and perfect. Now, when we go to install this, we can see on the side of our gas tube these flat notches that were milled out. That's where this has to go through, just because it's such a tight fit. So first we're going to seat it through there, and then we're going to line the front end of this up. Okay. Once the front end is lined up, we're going to start to work it on. Started going. Now we have a detent here. And if you don't have a hole in your gas tube for this detent, that's okay because there's a set screw on this handguard. So let's push this detent down. And once we push it down, it starts sliding on. And we want to just make sure we're looking at it, and we want this to be completely flush. Sometimes you have to work this. It's getting snagged here on this bipod ring. So what we want to do. Alright, so what we did was, again, this outer ring here on the bipod didn't want to go over the gas tube. So what we did is we took our bipod like this and we just applied pressure that way, and what it did was it moved the ring up enough so that it went on the gun. So we want to take a look. We see that this is seated flush on the end of the gas tube, and we also see that it's seated flush on the side of the trunnion here. Now, once that's completed, and this is a very nice feature that I like on this kit, we can see on the bottom of this we have a set screw. And this set screw is really nice. It takes all the slop out of the handguard and it holds it on there perfect. We have a 1/4 inch Allen head, and we simply just put that in there. Let's tighten it down. And you don't want to go overkill with this until you can't turn it anymore, and then a little more pressure, and that is a set screw sitting on your trunnion. And this handguard is on there like a rock. It ain't going anywhere now. Alright, now we'll install our barrel. So we have our gun sitting upright. You guys should know how to do this by now. Barrel latches up. Simply insert the barrel collar into the socket. Make sure it's seated flush. And then barrel latch goes down. Barrel lock, flip it down. So now we have our barrel installed. We'll move on and we'll put our internals in. So let's grab our bolt and our op rod. Bolt and op rod, again, you want to rotate this bolt on the top of your op rod so that it's seating sideways like that. It rotates forward, and you want to hold it in place because that's how it sits in the gun. You want your actuator straight on the top. So we'll put this in. Goes in the back. Once this is in, we want to ride this bolt forward by hand. You have to pull the trigger on the gun because make sure the gun is off safe. Pull the trigger, ride that bolt home. Now our bolt's installed. We'll take our drive rod and our drive rod spring. Drive rod goes into the back of the drive rod spring. Drive rod spring goes into the back of the gun. Sits in the back of the op rod. And just push it in there flush. We'll take our buttstock now. In the back of this, just like our other models, you can see, it's probably not going to capture it, but you can see where the back of the buffer sits in there. So we'll take this, put it in, and it's seated into the buttstock. Now, this buttstock is very tight on this gun, and what that does is that puts inward pressure on these rails as well as the channel. So you want to take your buffer yoke and you want to install that a while, not all the way, otherwise you won't be able to put it on your gun. But let's go ahead, and this goes in the slot. And we just want to get it started. There. So it's just sitting in the top of the channel, and the reason is because when this squeezes this in, when we go to put our buttstock on, this buffer yoke is tough to get in then. Alright, so we're going to line our buffer up with our drive rod, and put pressure on this. Sit it in place, and we're going to put our buffer yoke down. We have to line this buffer up with it, and there it should be seated flush. Should be seated flush on the top of the rails. Alright. Now, let's install our feed tray top cover. Basically, we want to take our feed tray. Let's see if I can get a better angle here. We want to take our feed tray and we just want to sit it on the top of the gun, just like that. So we're seating that on the trunnion on the top of the rails. Let's take our top cover return spring. This uses a standard return spring, and we want to put our return spring in this hole on the top cover. See the hole there? That's for the spring. Spring goes in, Make sure it's lined up on the side, and then we have a hole on the top of our trunnion. That's where the other end of this spring goes in. So we're going to line this up. And we're in. Now, once we have all this installed, we have to line all these holes up to get our hinge pin in. And this is a standard hinge pin. Use the same one. So, the female end of this hinge pin goes on the right side or the ejection side of the gun. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start lining everything up. And just kind of work it. And it'll start going in. And once it's in, you'll know because it will seat flush on the side. So we have that in, and then we're going to take our male end, push it right through the other side. Now that's a complete install of an M60e6 kit. The charging handle, again, I don't have one here with me. Still waiting on that, but that simply goes in this other side. Once your buttstock's off, remove this screw. That comes right out. Charging handle goes in, goes forward. Once you're done installing your kit, like anything, you want to do a functions check. So with the weapon off safe, you're going to take it, you're going to rack your bolt to the rear, put the weapon on safe, holding the charging handle, pull the trigger. It's holding the op rod back, so it's doing its job. Weapon off safe, ride the bolt home. Back on safe, let's pop our feed tray cover and top cover, sorry. We want to work the feed cam by hand. Make sure it is doing what's doing. Check the feed pause. And our function check is complete, and the gun is 100% ready to go. Alright, that's the M60e6 kit and how to install it. If you have any more detailed questions on how to do this, feel free to message me.